This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Columbia Insurance Agency, serving the Lynn community for over 60 years with home, auto, and business insurance.
Good afternoon, I'm Wesley Days with your Lynn News Update. Ed Markey is one step closer to returning to his seat in Congress. In a major political upset, Senator Ed Markey won last night's Massachusetts primary after a tight race against U.S. Representative Joe Kennedy. The election marks the first time in history a Kennedy has lost a political challenge in Massachusetts. Senator Markey now faces Republican challenger Kevin O'Connor in the final election on November 3rd. The MIAA has announced that fall sports will look a little different. The Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association has released a list of guidelines for each of the fall sports, the most controversial being the soccer guidelines, which prohibit players from using throw-ins. One coach calls the newly restricted sport a game he is no longer familiar with. Now, the LCTV team was on the scene when Lynn Community Health Center held an outreach table this past Monday in recognition of Overdose Awareness Day.
Take a ribbon.
Overdose Awareness Day, a day in which the nation recognizes the ongoing battle against the opioid crisis.
So on August 31st, it's Overdose Awareness Day. As most people know, the opioid crisis is still ongoing in the midst of the COVID pandemic, and we want to recognize that that's still an issue, and we want people to know that there's help available here.
Melissa Maragiglio, a peer recovery coach at Lynn Community Health Center, uses her story to connect with those who are trying to change their lives.
Being that I'm in recovery myself, I feel like it doesn't really matter if it's a man or a woman, if they're young, if they're old, if you can just connect on that level of like, I know where you're coming from, like I see you, I've been there, and let me help you, it doesn't really make a difference. My job is to just like meet them where they're at. Like not everybody's gonna get it at their first shot, and not everybody's gonna have the same pathway to their recovery. So it's kind of just meeting everybody where they're at and hoping that, you know, you can be a beacon of light for them in their darkest times.
Lynn Community Health Center is one of the leading health centers in the North Shore in providing care to those in recovery.
It's great to be able to be out here to meet with people, and that there's recognized syringe services here in the city for people to access clean syringes and also get information about ways to stop overdoses and to be able to be connected to care.
Now in sports news, the Boston Celtics took a commanding 2-0 lead in their Eastern Conference semifinals matchup against defending champions Toronto Raptors after their 102-109 victory yesterday. The Celtics got a huge fourth quarter from Marcus Smart, who scored 16 points. Smart hit 5 threes to help the Celtics overcome a 12-point deficit. Jason Tatum continued his stellar postseason play as he scored a game-high 34 points to go along with 8 rebounds and 6 assists. The Celtics look to take a 3-0 lead tomorrow when the two teams face off for Game 3. Tip-off is set for 6:30. Now in hockey news, the Boston Bruins have been eliminated from postseason play after their 3-2 double overtime loss to the Tampa Bay Lightning. In what was a tightly contested game, the Lightning's Victor Hedman scored the game-winning goal with 5 minutes and 50 seconds left in the second overtime to send the Lightning to their 4th Eastern Conference Finals. Now in baseball news, the Boston Red Sox are now 12-24 on the season after last night's 10-3 loss to the Atlanta Braves at Fenway Park. Marcell Ozuna of the Braves had a big night as he hit 3 home runs in the game. The first was a 2-run homer in the first inning. Ozuna would follow that up with a solo home run in the 7th inning. And in the 8th, Ozuna would knock in a 3-run homer. The Red Sox look to avoid a sweep tonight as the two teams finish off their 3-game series. First pitch is set for 7:30. Now on this week's Lin Lowdown, we spoke with Captain Joe Zukas of the Lynn Fire Dept. Here is this week's Lin Lowdown. So your job changed, or how has the job of the fire department changed since the pandemic hit?
Well, obviously, for all of us who've never worked or lived through a pandemic in my lifetime, or my 32 years in the fire department, so it's very difficult. We had to make sure that we take extra precautions for us and the public by wearing goggles, masks, and Tyvek or gown suits to protect us. So it's worrisome because the information we received was constantly changing as the doctors and government officials find out more information. So it's hard to keep the members abreast, but we did a good job doing that with everybody and keeping our workers, our employees safe, and keeping the public safe.
To watch the full interview, visit the LCTV website and subscribe to our YouTube channel. For all of us here at LCTV News, I'm Wesley Days.